going to be different depending on what happens, so you're going to have to figure that out depending on the problem. So first thing you're always going to do is draw your balance bar. You want to draw your balance bar so you know that you're getting the variable by itself. The balance bar allows you to isolate the variable. Get the variable by itself. So you always want to do the inverse, which is opposite, operation of what is least effective to the variable itself. This will make sense when we start. You also can think about it, you're doing order of operations backwards. So we know it's parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. So you basically want to add, subtract, multiply, divide, exponent. You're basically going backwards. That's a good way to think about it. You're going to do order of operations backwards. Majority of the time. Sometimes it will change. And then once you've done that, you want to complete the inverse of the last operation. If it's two operations, you have to undo both operations. And then, this is only for inequalities. Remember, you flip the sign if you multiply or divide by a negative. This is only for inequalities. If you multiply or divide by a negative, remember you got to flip it. But that's back from chapter 2. Alright, so we're starting super basic. Everybody with me? If I wanted you to show your work, this is what I'm expecting. I know you all could probably say 2. I get that. But when it gets more challenging, you wouldn't know how to show your steps. So first step, draw your balance bar. And remember, you draw it directly through the equal sign. And whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So we're going to do order of operations backwards. So we add or subtract first. If it's addition, what's the opposite of addition? So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. That's always do the inverse of what is least effective. This plus 1 isn't really affecting the variable. That's why I'm going to do it first. It's the least effective. So plus 1 minus 1 makes 0. So what's left on this side? 2x. Be careful. 2x. And 5 minus 1 is 4. Questions of how I got to that point? All right. And then you have to complete the inverse of the last operation. So we already did the inverse of plus. What's happening right here? What's the inverse of multiplication? Division. So I'm going to divide by 2. And I use a fraction bar to do division. You can write the division sign if you prefer. 2 divided by 2 is new with 1x. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 1x equals 2 or just x equals 2. And if you want to know if you're right, plug it in. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 does equal 5. Questions about that? Everybody good so far? All right, let's try another one. Let's try, I'm going to draw a line just so I don't get confused. Let's try negative 8 minus y divided by 2 equals 15. Agree with me? I love it. First step, draw your balance bar. All right, so we're gonna do it backwards. So add, subtract. This is subtraction, right? So what's the opposite of subtract? Addition. So what am I gonna add though? We're gonna add 8, right? Add 8. Everybody with me? So negative 8 plus 8 makes 0. If you have negative $8 and you get 8, now you got 0. What's left over here? Negative y over 2. Don't forget the little negative sign. 15 plus 8 is what? 23. 23. Questions so far? Anybody confused up to this point? All right. So, what's mathematical operations happening? Division. What's the opposite of division? Multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. multiply both sides by 2. So if you divide by 2, then multiply by 2, you're just left with negative y equals 46. Do I want to know what negative y is, though? So if negative y is 46, what's positive y? 23, yeah. So if negative y is 46, positive y is negative 46. Now I'm having some questions of what? How does that work? Let's plug it in. So if I do negative 46 divided by 2, I get negative 23. So now I have negative 8 minus negative 23, right? But I have to get to 15. These two negatives make a, so negative 8 plus 23 is 15. That's why that works. All right, this changes nothing. You still solve it the same exact way. So I'm going to draw my balance bar. Everybody with me? All right. So what? We're doing order of operations backwards, or what's least effective. So when I say least effective, what is basically not butting up or holding that variable? The 3 is butting up to the variable. So I'm going to get rid of the minus 6, or what's the opposite of minus 6? So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Everybody with me so far? All right. Minus 6 plus 6 makes 0. I'm left with 3n on this side. And I'm not writing an equal sign because it's not an equal sign. Don't write an equal sign. It's not an equal sign. 15 plus 6 is 1. Everyone good to this point? Yes. All right, what's the last thing I got to do? Everybody? Divide by 3. Divide by 3. Did I divide or multiply by a negative? Did I divide or multiply by a negative? No, so I leave the sign. I only flip the sign if I divide or multiply by a negative. 21 divided by 3 is 7. So n has to be greater than 7. You only flip it if you multiplied or divided by a negative. We did it. Everybody with me? We're going to take it a step farther and we're going to remember graphing these. We're going to graph it. So I'm going to put 7, 8. You guys have to graph it too, so I'm going to copy. You're going to be expected to graph. Let's just review. Is it an open or a closed circle at 7? Open or closed? Open, because it can't include 7. It's open. And n has to be greater than 7. Where are all the numbers greater than 7? So a shape to the right. Guys remember that? Yes. Taking it way back. Open because it can't be 7. If it could be 7, then we would close it. Everybody with me? All right, let's do another one. 5 minus x is greater than 17. What is in front of the x, even though it's really not there? How many x's is that? What's in front of the x, even though we can't see it? Oh, negative 1. Negative 1. So if you like to, you can add the 1 there if you like. If you already know it's a 1, you don't have to. I add it so I don't forget, but you don't have to. Everybody with me? All right, draw your balance bar. I need to get rid of the 5 first, because that's least effective. Now, if it's 5, how would I make it 0? Minus 5. I want to make sure it makes 0. So 5 minus 5 makes 0. Make sure you always make the 0 pair, because it's easy to want to add 5 there. And I'm left with negative 1x equals, not equals, greater than. 17 minus 5 is 12. Everybody with me so far? What do I have to do now? Divide by negative 1. Am I dividing or multiplying by a negative? Yep. So I got to flip the sign. X is less than negative 12. Make sure you flip the sign. And now, let's graph. Where did I get negative 12? 12 divided by negative 1. A positive divided by a negative is a negative.
How did you get negative 4?
I like to put the 1 in. If an x is by itself, you know it's a 1. So I like to put it in, but you don't have to. I just like to so I don't forget about it. Alright, let's graph this. Open or close circle. Open or close circle. Can it include 12? Negative 12. No, so it's open. And x has to be everything less than negative 12. So which way do you shade? To the left. So you should do numbers 1 through 7.